at least you don't have to look at so many different channels, and you are looking at the whole customer 360. But still, if you look at the customer state, that is still residing across multiple systems. And when you look at this more from the enterprise architecture perspective and from the customer's perspective, it's just pretty helpful.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our #1 priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. If you're joining for the first time, this is part of our industry series, for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We review one vendor or the solution. And for today, we have one more solution. I would say they are more from the CRM portfolio or maybe the customer service category. So we are going to have a lot of fun discussing that. Before we do that, we are going to start with everybody's intros. And today we are not going to have Dave and Andy. So just quickly about me, Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. We are the analyst and advisory firm. On that note, Shrestha, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Hi, everyone. My name is Shrestha Das. I'm working as a industry research analyst at Elevate IQ, and I'm super excited to be back in the new year.
Okay, amazing. Happy New Year once again, everybody, and Shrestha to you as well.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone.
Of course, and we have a lot of different episodes lined up for this series. Now we are doing a lot more commercializing, I guess, in terms of what to expect through our newsletter. So if you have not subscribed to that, you might want to do that. Also, we are promoting these through LinkedIn as well, just because we have been getting feedback that a lot of people don't even know that we are doing these. So make sure you hit the bell button if you'd like to receive the notification on my profile. Generally, that's where you are going to see a lot more announcements like this. And if you have not subscribed to our newsletter, you might want to do that if you don't want to miss any of these. So on that note, Shrestha, I know we have done a lot of these, and Front is a very interesting technology. I think they are very well recognized overall, from the technology perspective. They're a very unique category. So sometimes it might be harder to sort of understand where they fit in. And that is my personal challenge always with any newer categories or the solutions that we review. Even though the product may be fantastic, but if they don't sort of fit in the market category, it's just very challenging. But I mean, overall, they have very good traction in the market. In my personal mind, when we look at the overall categories that we have reviewed so far, they would fall under that CRM portfolio, maybe in that customer service bucket, but they can be also perceived as modern email. Now, I don't know what is going to happen to this category, whether they are going to replace the email or the collaboration category. It's too early to predict at this point of time. And I think when we review any sort of reviews that any other major analyst firms, if they have recognized them, they don't necessarily rank in any sort of quadrants, but they are a startup. So generally, startups are probably going to be slightly weaker, I would say, on the majority of the wave or quadrants or whatever we review. But I mean, they are recognized as the Forbes Cloud 100, I would say, multiple times, as well as they are recognized as the cool vendor, because obviously it's a very good product. There's no question there. But again, the challenges is overall, business model, product focus, and that's where I guess everybody sort of struggles. So overarchingly speaking, if you look at their core positioning, they would fall under that collaborative category. And such, I think you have reviewed a lot of them as well. This is going to be the Monday.coms of the world, Notions of the world, all of these, at least there are 20 different players in this market segment which are doing commendable job. I mean, they have very high ARR in general. So obviously it's very exciting whatever they are able to do. But again, at this point of time, it's very early to predict where they will land and what categories they are going to change. So overall, from these guys' perspective, they are going to be in that collaborative email perspective, and then the customer service as well as the multi-channel communication. They are trying to bring everything inside email, which is a great idea, but I'm not sure how many people are going to like that. Their customers are super happy just because they get one place, including for your chat, any sort of multi-channel communication that you are going to have from the customer service perspective. But overall, I guess when you review this, they are never going to be as powerful as some of the other customer service players, for example, Zendesk. But then for these guys, they are going to be slightly easier to be able to pick up. And that's why startups like them a lot, when they don't have appetite to learn the the Zendesk like platform or any sort of transactional platform that are going to have slightly more tight data model, process model. That's where their play is. The majority of the logos that they have, they tend to be on a smaller side. That's what we have seen based on our research. But there might be some enterprise logos as well, but for the most part, they are in that startup small segment. So overall, I guess the background, if you look at their story in terms of how they started, why they exist, they felt that email was really bad, and that's why they wanted to create something better for email, because their goal was to create email that is going to be slightly more collaborative. Now, if you ask the community, some people are going to say they absolutely hate email. They would rather not use email. So even if you are going to make it better, I don't know if I like that idea. But some people, I don't know, maybe they just like to live in email. So for those, this category and the product might be a great fit. So overarching, um, I would say the journey that they have had, it's a very technical perspective. The way they started, the way the product is, and sometimes, I mean, I am not very convinced with any of the technical categories, just because it's very hard to perceive how they are going to fit in the business category. Sometimes there are challenges from the business model perspective. That's why this is probably going to receive slightly more neutral review from my perspective. But overall, they are in that collaboration bucket, which is obviously very hot right now from the market penetration perspective. So competing technologies, and again, when you look at any of the niche product or niche categories, the challenge that we run into is that if you cannot find at least three competitors, I like to see at least three, then we can define, okay, this is the category, this is the industry that they are trying to penetrate. And if you are going to be very, very, very unique, it becomes very hard. Even if you are going to have just the me too products in that category, I am a big fan of that personally. I like to see that. For example, let's say if you look at monday.com. So monday.com, the reason why we are so excited about monday.com as the product as well as the category is because we have three very similar product that are trying to create very similar category, and that's why we recognize that as more of the industry category. But for front, it's going to be harder, just because we are just not able to find any competition that is going to be similar to them. Nobody has followed their footsteps in creating the category, and I don't know if that is because this is more of the technical product in my mind, as opposed to driven from the business problems. So that's my personal challenge with this particular category as well as the product. But there is a possibility that tomorrow maybe Slack might be replaced or Teams might be replaced because of this category. There's a possibility, or email might be completely replaced, but I don't know if they are ever going to get there. So it's very, very, very hard to forecast at this point of time. So overarchingly speaking, when you look at the competing technologies, who they are trying to replace, what is being used when they are being used in a specific context. So from the customer service perspective, they are probably going to be evaluated against things like Zendesk or Zoho Desk. That is the market segment that they are trying to penetrate. And from the collaboration perspective, there might be some workflows and use cases that Smartsheet, Airtable, Monday.com, Notion, ClickUp, they might be attacking as well, because they are trying to attack a lot more use cases in general. Everybody is trying to increase their deal size. So that's why you are going to find competing use cases, for this product. So that's why they could be a little bit of competition, but they are not the exact competition. Obviously, this would fall under that CRM bucket. So 90% of the CRMs, at least the leading ones, if they have reasonable market share, they all have those 3 or 4 different buckets, as part of the CRM portfolio. So it would fall under that. So in my mind, when you look at this more from the category as well as market definition and industry perspective, this would fall under that bucket. So that's why CRM is probably going to be a competition for this as well. You are going to see cases where this is being used along with your Salesforce and HubSpot, and they are sort of trying to bring all of this data inside front, from your HubSpot and Salesforce, and they are trying to say that, what, if you are a support rep, the only platform that you have to use is front. Great, but everybody else is trying to do that, so it becomes very challenging in terms of how you are going to define the architecture, and if you are going to have data all over the place. I don't know. It's tricky from the customer's standpoint. So that's why CRM is probably going to be the competitors as well. Salesforce, Zoho, all the leading ones. Sugar CRM, they have the customer service module as well. So again, all of the major leading CRMs that we have reviewed on our channel is probably going to be a competition here, competing category here. There's a little play for marketing automation as well, I would say. But I mean, they are trying to develop these journeys, which is for customer service platform, I'm not too sure, to be completely honest, because everybody's trying to do that. I get that you need to build engagement with your customer from the customer service flows as well, but it's just all over the place, because you are going to use a CRM, you are going to use marketing automation as well, that is probably going to have that. Then how are you going to manage your subscription preferences in a centralized manner, because you need to have that from the privacy compliance, from the legal perspective. So again, it's just all over the place. So that's my personal challenge with this particular product. One thing that we have not touched as part of this review is, if you're joining for the first time, overall, the way we conduct these reviews is we are relying on the publicly available information for these reviews. So some of the data sources that we use for this research is any of the historical news stories that they have done in terms of how they have evolved, how they have changed their position. So we are looking at pretty much everything. We are looking at their customer stories in terms of how they are being used, what their customers are reporting, what they are reporting. We are looking at any sort of financial statements, if this is going to be a public company. In this particular case, this is not a public company, so we just don't have as much information available for these newer vendors. And then we are also looking at any sort of user reporting that you have from the Reddit threads, user reviews, whatever we can find from the publicly available sources. We generally utilize that. Overall, I guess, coming back to front, so one of the things that you are going to notice in terms of the industry presence, where we have seen in our deals and the opportunities, and we ended up replacing them. Again, nothing against the product, and the reason why we have replaced them is because we just could not find the use case for them that would fit in the enterprise architecture for this particular customer, where they were in their journey. And we have had several cases. We retain a lot of different platforms if we can find a clear spot for them in terms of what is going to be the responsibility of this particular component versus the other components that are going to be used in conjunction. So we ended up replacing that, but that does not mean that we will not keep them for any other customers. Again, it depends upon the use case, the business that you are working with. So again, our review is going to be neutral for this particular product. The industries where you are going to find them most commonly is e-commerce, travel, logistics, tech, media, airlines. So these might be the industries that you might want to review as well. If you are in those industries, this product is something that you might want to evaluate. Um, Again, this slide is going to be tricky for this particular product, and the reason for that is if we don't have direct competition, we just don't know what to compare with. So that's our challenge, and that's why you are going to find something there, but it's just very tricky. It's probably not going to be fair with them because they are claiming that they are a very unique category, but you know, what can we compare this with? And that's our challenge. So from the front perspective, there are multiple aspects that they are trying to promote. So number one, collaboration is a big deal. There are many different players, and we have probably reviewed maybe 50%, 60% of them, Srasta, if I remember correctly, right? And 90% of them, we are really positive on those products. And the reason for that is because they have clear market alignment. With front, we are slightly reserved, I would say, overall in terms of the market potential, the business model feasibility, the acquisition strategy. I would say, their acquisition strategies all over the place as well, and where they are going to be sort of going to fit in terms of the exit strategy is going to be a problem as well. So, coming back to the layers in terms of the pros and cons. So, number one layers is collaboration. This all started with this whole collaboration wave. I don't know if that is still hot, but we have major companies in the collaboration space that are doing really well, including Front. Front is doing well as well. Ease of use is going to be the second one. The shared inboxes, the whole notion of shared inboxes is promoted by these guys. There is some value to it. I'm not going to say that the customers that we have spoken to, they don't like it. They absolutely love it. Um, but when you look at this more from the architectural lenses, it might be trickier. From the data integrity perspective, etc. It's just trickier. Even though they have really good experience, and users are probably going to be happy about it as well. The whole multi-channel, aspect. So let's say if you are going to be, WhatsApp, chat, these are different channels where your customers are coming from. They are asking you to support from those channels. So all of these channels are going to be at one place. So you have all of your team members at one place. I mean, which is obviously huge. At least you don't have to look at so many different channels, and you are looking at the whole customer 360. But still, if you look at the customer state, that is still residing across multiple systems. And when you look at this more from the enterprise architecture perspective and from the customer's perspective, it's just trickier. So that's our challenge. So multi-channel, but that's a huge plus because they are able to do that. I would say it's well received and well adopted overall from the product perspective. It does have positive reviews in general, the customers that we have spoken to, and the reviews that we have seen on the internet as well. They are trying to integrate. It's well integrated with a lot of different systems, especially the ones that are going to be common in the e-commerce, tech, media, startup space. Salesforce, HubSpot. You are probably going to find those integrations. Other CRMs, let's say, for example, let's say if you are going to be in sugar space, because they have very different industries that they are targeting. And in those industries, I don't know if Front is going to have the same value, to be completely honest. So that's why you might not see the integration in those spaces. So again, depending upon the industry, if you stick to the industries where they are already penetrated, you might have some success with them, but you might not have the same success in the other industries just because they are just not as well adopted. They are not as well integrated. So just pay attention to that. Some of the cons, I would say, I mean, again, it's coming across as very technical innovation, which we appreciate, but that has to be aligned with the clear market problem. In our case, we are struggling to understand that with this particular product. Yeah. And overall, from the data integrity perspective, enterprise architecture, it's going to be a harder lift, I would say, with this particular product. But if you're a startup, if you're on best of breed architecture, your data is fairly siloed. You don't necessarily care for that organizational integration, it might be okay. And if you are looking to provide that standalone experience for your agents because that is the priority for you, it might be okay, but you are probably creating a lot more work in the back end. So again, the ideal fit is going to be tricky for this one as well. So this is probably easier customer service collaboration tool, however you want to read that. But yeah, I mean, that's probably the best that we can do from our perspective. Again, that's our POV. Zendesk obviously is one of the gold standard, from the customer service perspective. It's going to be slightly harder to learn compared to your front. And that's why sometimes when you talk to any of the users who have never used any sort of customer service platforms in the past, they are probably going to appreciate front because they are familiar with emails. Okay. So they are going to require a lot more training to think about how to think more from the relational data model transaction perspective. And that's a harder lift for the newer users if they have not utilized any standard customer service platforms. But let's say if you're coming from either switching from your Salesforce customer service or HubSpot customer service to your Zendesk, then you will appreciate Zendesk a lot more in general, just because you will not find all of those features probably in front. You might find all of these fancy bells and whistles related to collaboration, but when you get into the real difficult use cases of customer service, that's where you are probably going to struggle. So again, Zendesk is a very well adopted product, but obviously it's not going to have as fluid collaboration as you are going to find with front. So there is a distinction in terms of what you want. Do you care for that collaboration aspect? Then you probably should go for front. If you care for slightly more structured processes, streamlined processes, data integrity across your tech stack that you might have, care for your enterprise architecture, operational efficiency, etc., then probably Zendesk-like tool may be slightly better fit. The same thing goes for Zoho Desk. In my mind, personally, Zendesk, Zoho Desk, they are fairly comparable. Zendesk is going to be a lot more integrated in general with a lot of different telcos, etc. Zoho is going to be bucketed under their own portfolio just because Zendesk is slightly more open system, open ecosystem. Zoho Desk is slightly more closed ecosystem. Obviously, Salesforce, if you talk to Salesforce is going to have their own sort of customer service platform, but they tend to be open in general. So sometimes customers use front with Salesforce as well. That's why they are going to be integrated with front, but they are going to have their own product as well in terms of what the customers are going to like. But in general, again, Salesforce is slightly more complex product compared to your Zendesk, etc. And that's why especially in the SMB space, companies are probably going to like Zendesk, Zoho Desk a lot more. In the enterprise space, they are probably going to like or appreciate Salesforce a little bit more. I would say HubSpot product, when we look at that, it's just not as mature. From the customer service perspective, the kind of things that you are going to find inside Zendesk. So I would say HubSpot is a little behind. In general, from the customer service perspective, they are far stronger from the marketing automation perspective. But let's say if you care for that immersive experience, sales plus your marketing automation plus your customer service, then HubSpot is probably a better fit. I'll keep going here, Srasta, unless you have any other comments here. Okay, so now we are analyzing some of these stories that they have, published historically. So I'll read that and provide some comments from our side. So here they are saying this is probably the first one, and again we are going back in time to analyze these stories. So this is probably the first one that they have done. So Front has reinvented email specifically to help teams be more productive. Again, the reinvention is very technical. The way they have approached this, maybe the team was very technical. They didn't have as much business background, whatever. Again, the innovation is great. The product is great, but it started as very technical focus. And sometimes translating that to business value could be harder for business guys. So here they are saying with Front, you have your email, team collaboration, and access to 50 plus other apps right in your inbox, great idea, but do you really love your inbox that much is going to be the question. If you do, great idea. I would say when you need to work with your team, you can comment internally right on the original email thread. So obviously, it's email on steroid is probably the best way to describe this. But at the same time, again, do you really love that much? And right now in 2024, I personally absolutely hate emails, to be completely honest, because they are annoying. They get lost in junk. They are never trustworthy. So, I mean, given a choice, I would kill email today. I don't want to use email at all because personally, it's very frustrating. And here they are trying to innovate, but the underlying protocols that they are going to use, underlying technologies that they are going to use, is going to be fairly similar. So now, is that going to be better? I don't know. When you need context from another app about a customer project or issue, you can find it all in your inbox right when you need it. Again, email is very frustrating. One of the things that you are going to notice in their reviews is that customers like front a little bit more, and the reason for that is because the searchability is far better. Outlook searchability right now, it's pretty bad. It's really bad. It's a personal frustration. I used to like personally, I used to like Outlook a lot more when they were on prem because the search was better. I guess that was probably sitting in the system, but now it's hitting the web, and it's not as reliable. So that's where Outlook is. So they are probably going to be slightly better, I guess, just because it is more of an app, but we don't have understanding of the actual technical design, how they are approaching this, because they are mixing a lot of different technologies, and generally these technologies are distinctly different. So, for example, let's say if you look at any of the chat technology, WhatsApp, that is developed using the real time. I don't remember the name of the protocol. I don't know, Shraddha, if you remember or not, but the technology is very, very unique and different compared to the real email technology, and that's why a lot of products, brands, companies, they struggle to accommodate all of this in one, and these guys have somehow figured this out. So kudos to them, but at the same time, you need to understand that these are completely different technology. So there's a very good chance that you are probably going to experience some issues because translating that is a nightmare in general. But somehow it works well. Again, we have validation from the customers that they really love the experience that Front is able to provide. They are talking about switching around from app to answer live chat tweets or SMS text. It's all in Front. You can collaborate on them just like email. Great idea. Again, this is very technical problem in our mind. They are saying Front gives you two sections for your email, your individual inbox, as well as the shared team inbox. Again, great value. I kind of like the idea, to be completely honest. Because sometimes that's hard because nobody really knows what is sitting in the individual emails. So it's easier if you are going to be too big into emails. But again, I don't think you can model your organizational processes inside this. And companies are trying to do that, and that's why they are kind of struggling. So as long as you use this with the intent of an email, it's great, but anything more than that is probably going to be a problem, especially if you're going to have very large team, very complicated organizational processes. Here they are saying Front has such a unique opportunity in that the company sits at the intersection of an existing software category in email management and yet integrates powerful corporate workflows that makes it look like a product category all its own. It does, but category is defined by the market. So I need to see at least 2 or 3 competitors who are doing exactly same things as you are for it to be recognized as category market, sustainable business model. We just don't have that. So I don't know how well it is received and what's going to happen to it. But again, great innovation is what I can say right now. So in 2016, they were Series A. We now have 2,500 businesses of all sizes and industries using shared inboxes in Front to work faster and more collaboratively. So again, customers love this product. They absolutely do, and again, that's why they have 6,000 customers, which is commendable. Right now, this is 2,500, probably in 2016, but they have more than 6,000. I guess we are going to review that in one of these stories. Here they are saying today we are adding calendar. So this is one of the stories that they had done. So they have not only brought in the whole email and collaboration aspect, but they also have the shared calendars, which is commendable. I personally love this feature because looking at team calendar in general is a nightmare. Regardless of whether you are going to use Google or Microsoft, it just doesn't work. And these guys have somehow figured out. Again, we don't have commentary on the calendar functionality, how fluid that is, because it's very tricky to integrate calendars, and that's why Microsoft and Google, they have struggled, to be completely honest. But somehow these guys have figured this out. So again, kudos to them because it does have some value, which I personally like. Especially the calendar aspect. This is big. But again, the state of calendar is going to be different. So let's say, for example, if you're using HubSpot and this, HubSpot is trying to say the same thing as well. So there is going to be a little collision between these two platforms. So I don't know how that is going to work. And in general, I don't think you are going to use Front for everything. So you are going to be using a lot of platforms, and they all are maintaining the state of your customers. They all are maintaining the state of your calendars. So I don't know how this is going to fit in the overarching scheme of the enterprise architecture. Again, that's our personal challenge. Okay, some more stories. So some of the integrations that they have, again, they have integrations and alignment with the major platforms. In fact, they are funded by Salesforce Ventures. So Salesforce is very excited, for some reason about this platform, which is wonderful. I mean, which is a great approval. I don't know whether, they have been trying to figure out the whole Slack project management. I don't know where that is right now. So that is probably coming. And I don't know if their plan is going to be to replace something like this with that. That could be a possibility, because the whole community driven customer experience has been big. From the Slack perspective, we have seen with a lot of customers how they use it. It's wonderful. Slack works. There is no question there, and it's pretty unique. And what Salesforce has done with that is fairly commendable as well. There is a possibility that this could be utilized for similar use cases as well, but at least now they are not there. So I don't know what's going to happen to the product, but there is something here. So Salesforce, HubSpot, everybody's excited. Pipedrive, all major CRM vendors. I don't think we have seen Sugar, align with them. Again, their industries are very different. And obviously, they are every single platform that is going to be positioned for the startup stack, media, the newer modern sort of companies. They are probably going to be very well integrated in the Slack ecosystem as well. So the next story that we have is they built the merge and sequence functionality. Again, this would fall under that marketing automation, sales enablement sort of workflows. So I don't know what they are doing from the customer service perspective. So again, it confuses the hell out of us. Why are they building that? I don't know. Everybody's building that. Literally everybody is building this functionality. It's tricky. So we are saying set up sequences for specific front contacts and customer, contact groups. And there is a possibility that some companies are able to utilize for some of the customer service use cases. Especially, there was a lot of need from the NPS survey perspective, CSAT score. A lot of customer service folks are going to appreciate that, capability. There were other technologies that were used for very similar use cases. So these workflows are going to be, especially from the marketing automation perspective, they are going to be very different than what you are going to do with the real marketing perspective. So again, very interesting use case. And there is a possibility that there might be some use cases for this marketing automation as well as the sequence as well. But I don't know if they are able to drive the resell as well. If they are able to drive the resell, then how are all of these technology going to marry together is where, again, our biggest problem is. They are very well integrated in the Shopify ecosystem. Shrestha, I don't know if you remember the names of the other technologies that we have reviewed. I think we have reviewed Braze. Clayview is the second one. There was third one that I don't remember right now. They were more into that the whole return workflow. I don't remember who they were. We have reviewed them as well, so we probably need to come back to that. But again, they were doing very similar marketing automation, play as well, and these guys are doing that. So again, I don't know how these technologies are going to work together, and in the Shopify ecosystem where it is really used, I don't know if they are using all of those technologies as well. So it's going to be extremely challenging if you are going to be in Shopify ecosystem in deciding, okay, which one you are going to use. But for the most part, the accounts or the customers that we have seen, they were using Shopify, they were using Front, they didn't have Zendesk. So most likely the only reason why they didn't have Zendesk is because they were thinking that Front is going to play that role. They didn't have HubSpot generally in Shopify ecosystem. I think they are going to use Clayview in general. That's going to be the most common trend. So again, we didn't see Zendesk there, but there were a lot of different tools that they were trying to use. And these are all very early stage companies. They don't have the whole architecture defined, I would say. They don't think from the enterprise architecture lenses. Their inventory is not streamlined yet. They are probably not on ERP just yet. So that's the kind of market space that we are talking about. Now, they are integrating with Jira as well. So this is the team collaboration. So you have your team users, team licenses here. So you are paying for that, and then you are paying for Jira as well. So number one, you are paying for double licenses, and then you are sort of claiming that you can use this for internal as well as external communication, but then you are going to use Jira because I don't think Front is going to be integrated with all of those development platforms. So you have to use Jira as well. So now you have Jira plus Front. Oh my goodness, too many tools in the architecture, and that's what I guess is going to be a problem for the customers. And this is the problem that we have seen with the customers as well, that they are probably using 50 different apps, and sometimes that's very hard to figure out who's doing what. Okay, so now they have integrations with GitHub. They have integrations with Asana. Again, these products are phenomenal. A lot of them. Like they are one of the leading categories, and they are integrated with all of them. At least the modern, SaaS world, they are very well penetrated there. Again, from our perspective, our problem would be that the whole clarity of the role in terms of who they really are, the identity, that's where our problem is. But GitHub, Asana, they are able to integrate with all of that. So obviously they are penetrated in that SaaS tech space as well. That's why they are able to get there. Clearbit, my understanding is that Clearbit now is owned by HubSpot. So they were penetrated there. You are doing a lot of data as well. Now data is going to be integrated with your CRM as well. Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't know. Again, clarity of the architecture is where my problem is going to be. This is the screenshot of their WhatsApp communication. It seems real time. The way so customer is communicating from the WhatsApp screen, and then the agent that they don't need to leave the platform, so they are able to manage this omni-channel communication inside the platform itself. Again, big deal, guys, because if the rep is switching from your web to your WhatsApp to so many different platforms, and sometimes that could be challenging for the reps. So from the reps perspective, I would say this is a great platform. And I don't know how much of this your Zendesk would be able to do, because if you are going to have WhatsApp integration, it's probably not going to be real time because you would be doing a lot of data entry. And the whole idea of collaboration space, if you look at any of the tools, one of the things that they are trying to really emphasize is the data entry, that you don't have to have as much data entry because we are known for collaboration. We can handle that for you. So these guys are attacking very similar problem as well, which is just very interesting. Then they are saying, and this is the story, I guess, or the bit of the story coming from the Gensight news, and I think their marketing executive came from Gensight just because he or she created really good category from the Gensight perspective. So now they are trying to do the same thing with Front as well. I don't think we have reviewed Gensight, Srasta, if I remember correctly, but Gensight is a very popular product and very interesting. And the reason why this category is because you can easily find competitors for Gensight. Front is going to be tricky. Uh, so they are saying, so now they are integrating with Gensight because the executive came from there. So it's very natural that there is going to be some sort of alignment there. So they are saying with this integration, you can leverage critical customer data from Gensight directly in your inbox. Very similar use case as any other platforms that we have seen so far. You can see the information you need contextually right next to the message it pertains to. With Gensight and Front together, your team can now offer all your customers a truly high touch experience. I don't know what that means, but great. So again, there is some value. I'm not discounting the value of what they are bringing to the table, but overall, the identity clarity, role clarity, architectural clarity is where our major concerns are going to be. Here they have some more comments, and again, these are coming from different stories, back in the time. So here they are saying inbound conversations can automatically be routed to the proper CSM. So they are able to do a lot of routing, and that is generally easier, I would say, in collaboration like technologies, because they are built for that. It might be harder. For example, let's say if you did this in Zendesk, they are probably going to struggle, and that's why, for example, let's say if you look at the legacy vendors, Atlassian, they struggled with the similar use cases as your Monday.com, etc., because they could do a lot more things. These vendors were sort of developed on the relational data model. Now the newer vendors have completely opted out the relational data model, just because now the database technology is very different, and that's why they are able to accomplish all of that. But they are creating a different problem from the technical backlog perspective. But since customers appreciate that, so now everybody's sort of catching up, and they are creating very similar categories as well, and they are all killing the data models underneath. But then you are going to create a big data integrity nightmare from the customer's perspective if you are going to go for all of these technologies, because aligning data when you are going to have so many different data silos and there is no sort of rules inside, at the database level, you are looking at a lot of fun. So here, obviously, the whole routing is going to be easier. So they are able to route that. If a conversation comes from Front, it does not have an assignee instead of sitting unattended in the team inbox. Again, these are the scenarios. And Srishta, I don't know if you remember the newer CRM that we reviewed. What was the name of that? I'm missing that. The one that is disrupting the whole Salesforce, HubSpot ecosystem. We just did that review. So I think we need to probably come back to that name. But it was just 2 or 3 weeks back. It's a very new startup. They literally have like 10, 20 customers, but it's very cool. So that's the one that I'm looking at right now. But this is a very similar use case as that we are looking at. So here they are saying this is a huge help when you have CSMs on PTO or parental leave, and it's important for delivering personal touch at scale. Again, when you don't have a record inside your system and you are still able to take action, is where the real play is from the collaborative technology perspective. Just because, again, this is whole no schema play, and that's why these technologies are able to handle a lot of different use cases. But again, our take on this would be that they will struggle on the transactional use cases. That's why we are not too certain about their potential, but it's a very interesting play. So yeah, they are. So they have claimed that they are really pushing the boundaries of the collaboration space in 2020. Here they are saying, and these are different brands. So we definitely appreciate, what Asana is doing. Even though they are a legacy vendor, but they are able to do a lot of things from the collaboration perspective inside their platform as well. That's why they are sort of listed as the hot technology. There, even though they are legacy vendor, Airtable, Monday.com, Notion. And I don't know why we do no Airtable, Monday.com. Smartsheet is, for whatever reason, it's missing. I mean, they are fairly comparable, so I don't know why you would miss them. Probably these guys think that they are legacy. I guess there's a possibility. You never know. But in our mind, I think that's a fairly comparable technology as well. Now Notion is very comparable, but Notion is slightly different, I would say. And Notion is the one that was being compared with that CRM, which I don't remember right now. I need to come back to that. Then Miro is very unique, and Miro is kind of struggling right now. if you look at their overall market penetration and identity, and the only reason why they are struggling is because they were kind of alone in their category, and they were sort of comparable to Figma. Figma had much better penetration, just because Figma was very unique, but Miro did not really have the real value prop, I guess. And they tried to differentiate a lot more. They just didn't have the same adoption as Figma. But again, Miro is a very well adopted product as well. It's just not as hot as some of the other categories that we have here. And that's probably the reason why they are struggling. Now, Lucid is a very legacy vendor, but for whatever reason, they are able to innovate, and they are able to list here, which is commendable. And then you have the Symphony Communication Service. So these are some of the vendors that they are comparing with. But overall, Front is very unique in our mind. That could be an advantage, but that could be a concern as well. And they are admitting that. So for example, let's say if you notice here, how can we talk Front in a consistent way? So one thing I like about this team and technology is that they are at least being honest, that they are saying, you mean you're a help desk and an email client? And that could be confusing. Some more stories here. So here they are talking about they have raised roughly what $65 million in Series D funding by Salesforce Ventures. So Salesforce is definitely behind this. They are pretty much behind every single Forbes technology that is listed out there. So this is not an exception as such, but they are looking at these business models. If there is going to be a play from the community-centered business model, I think that's why they had acquired Slack. I don't know if they're feeling that maybe it is going to replace maybe Slack, maybe email. I don't know. There is a possibility. Okay, so some more comments here. So they are saying our best customers are so suspicious of help desks. These systems are designed for a world of transactions, and that is right. And transactions matter. Transactions are not optional. If transactions were optional, we don't need any SaaS. So Satya Nadella from Microsoft may be right that SaaS is dead. But transactions are not optional. They need to be performed, and they need to be performed in the consistent way. And that's why ERP matters and SaaS matters. So that is not optional. These guys may think that some of their customers may not like transactional systems just because they are harder to learn. But when you look at this more from the operational efficiency lenses, you have to have transactional integrity. You need to teach your team to look from their lenses, and that's why that is going to be really relevant. But right now, if you look at this more from the collaboration perspective, this is great. Ticket numbers instead of names. Again, you need numbers for the relational databases, and at least as far as we know, I don't think anybody has solved the problem of the real relational databases. They are claiming that relational databases, they don't matter anymore. That's not true at all. So we are still, we need to see the use cases where these systems have done the kind of heavy lifting that is going to be required at maybe 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, 100 million, $1 billion business. That is something that I don't think we have seen so far. Here they are saying this is coming from 2022, and here they have raised one more round, and here PagerDuty CEO is involved in this transaction as well, so which is wonderful. This round, and again, the reason why they are involved is because this is a very telco customer service sort of play. That's why you are going to see all of these people there. So again, in our mind, it's a very customer service play right now. This round values Front at 1.7 billion with a B. Can you believe this, guys? Okay, I don't know a technology. I don't know a product that is going to be in Shopify ecosystem or on Forbes Cloud 100 that is going to have valuation of less than $1 billion. Literally everything. That's how hard these companies are. So obviously they have market traction. There is no question there, but I guess the analyst firms are slightly struggling in terms of the category. Then they are talking about, we are excited to announce Front's acquisition of Windsor.io to accelerate the speed of AI innovation. The Windsor team has spent the last 3 years building an AI platform that produced nearly 1 million personalized videos, enabling companies to seamlessly scale the human touch. Great idea, but what are we going to do with this? Again, very technical acquisition. Sure, you could argue that this is going to be for customer service, customer experience. I'm going to send out videos now. You are going to see the similar themes, and probably what is that, Loom? Loom has that. I think Zoho has done very similar things, for their Zoho Desk product as well. They probably have the remote sharing technology integrated as part of their workflow. Zendesk probably have that as well. So maybe these guys are trying to figure this out. But again, I don't think you need to acquire this, I guess, as the capability, because again, this is a very technical capability, very interesting in terms of where they are heading. But at least they are focused on that customer service play. And this would, I don't know, when you look at the video technology, is that going to be customer service? Is that going to be marketing? I don't know. So you could be all over the place with this acquisition as well. But very interesting. Okay, so one more acquisition, and here this is Idiomatic, and that is the AI-powered voice of the customer platform. Sure, in the e-commerce space, when you are going to have such volume, this is probably good. Then they are saying, technology has been leveraged by leading brands, including HubSpot, Instacart, Pinterest, to analyze customer conversations at scale. I don't know. Again, I would say acquisition is tricky because I don't think we have seen this kind of acquisition from anybody else. So sure, you are doing VOC analysis. Maybe you are going to have great marketing material based on this technology, but if you look at the overall value, not too sure. So they are saying automates customer sentiment analysis, trend identification, issue detection. Great. Sounds great on paper, but I think when you are going to have the fragmented state of your data as well as systems, but they are going to argue that I'm bringing everything in my platform. So technically you should not have the fragmented state, but you have fragmented state because you are using so many different systems. So that's where my loss is in how this is going to work. Then they are saying insight generation, you can do insight generation, but you would do insight generation probably inside some sort of data warehouse CDP. They are designed for that. So again, I'm not too sure about this acquisition either. Now, some comments from fellow analyst firms. So I don't think we could find any other analyst firms that have reviewed or rated them so far. Just some awards, and we don't account for the user-centric communities just because we find a lot more noise there. We just look at the major analyst firm. So here, these are the comments from Gartner, and Gartner is saying this is in 2020, and they are saying the leader in customer communication was recognized in cool vendors, in digital workplace programs and application. And I think they are struggling with this as well because the way it is worded, it's just all over the place, to be completely honest. Which is okay. Digital workplace programs, I don't know what that means. Is that some sort of ACM category now? But you are in that customer service space. It's tricky. So I think Gartner is struggling as well, but they somehow try to please them because obviously they have market traction. So they had to list them somewhere. But I don't think this is going to be a real category, to be completely honest. They have gone out of their way to recognize them. But again, that's why they are struggling as well. Now this is the customer story. So we are going to analyze some of the use cases where they are being used. So now if you look at the overarching company size, it's going to be very small, relatively small. 1 to 10 employees, maybe 5 to 10, 51 to 200. That's the consistent theme that we are finding in their case studies, in any of the review sites. That's what they are finding. So here they are saying tools integrated with Salesforce. Here the industry's technology. In general, when we look at any of the technology companies, their architecture is in general all over the place. And the reason why it could be all over the place, just because they have a lot of margins, I guess. The talent that they need to retain is much harder to retain. So sometimes they have to use those fragmented technology because for them, retaining those people is far more important than their bottom line and margins. So again, every industry is kind of different, and that's why technology is a very unique beast. So that's why you are going to see a lot more presence inside the technology verticals, and this we have seen with the other technologies as well, that in technology you are going to see a lot of different startups that you are not going to see anywhere else. So again, the use cases, they are saying operations, customer success, customer support, and marketing. So marketing is using this as well. I don't know. Why would marketing use this? It's going to be tricky, but then marketing is sort of jumping into two different systems, because they are going to have CRM, they are probably going to have marketing automation, they are probably going to have 10 others. So it's not necessarily one system, even though you are able to bring that data here. Now, in this particular case, some more comments and details. So they are saying Scratchpad has relied on front to manage customer interactions, primarily on the support and success teams, with close collaboration across sales and operations. So they are saying, and the Scratchpad, I believe they are some sort of Salesforce resellers. In general, they are relatively small in size. The way the industry is, these are very fragmented businesses. So they are saying a unique aspect of Scratchpad's workflow is the emphasis on teamwork rather than individual ownership of responses. And you are going to see this being very common in B2B centric scenarios. Any of the B2B centric sales teams are going to be very collaborative. A lot of reps, customer success is sort of involved in the deal. Sometimes marketing is involved in the deal. So yes, they are right that you are going to see a lot more collaboration. Then they are saying emphasis on teamwork rather than individual ownership of responses. Front's ease of use combined with its ability to foster this type of seamless collaboration has made it an irreplaceable part of Scratchpad's operations. So I think I'm going to have to agree with them that you are never going to be able to replace this, because you don't know how the other world looks like, and you are never going to find a similar platform as this. So again, what you create is this sort of process backlog based on this, because now you are going to model a lot more. You are probably going to engineer your processes based on how your team works inside front, and sometimes that is going to be very fluid in general, because you just don't have processes defined. So it's going to be tricky as you grow. Right now it might be okay because you need that, but it's going to be trickier as you grow. Now they have some more comments here. They are saying third-party integration such as French Salesforce integration enables Scratchpad to ensure emails are logged properly, maintaining visibility across teams and further driving alignment. So you are logging probably these emails inside Salesforce. Then you have front as well. Too much going on there. Again, I like to see a little bit more clarity, I would say, which is not there. Then they are saying Scratchpad's customer and operations workspaces help accounts payable. So they are doing accounts payable, they are doing legal, and they are doing security communications. Now, these are the use cases which we have seen with the other technologies as well. If you look at Notion, you look at Monday.com, they are able to attack these use cases as well, because for the most part, these departments were running on some sort of spreadsheet, Outlook maybe. They didn't have technology to begin with, and that's why they are able to do that. AP might be tricky because AP is going to have a lot more overlap with a lot of different other systems, including your ERP, accounting, P2P, whatever you might be using. So AP in doing inside front could be trickier, because now you have your accounting folks here. That's just too much in my mind. That's pretty much it. So I think we are going to wrap right now. I don't know, Shasta, if you're going to have any sort of comments.
No comments as such, just a small question. So as we saw, like there is a certain amount of unclarity in the positioning in the market. So what do you think, like the future of these software look like when they are competing with so many other systems in different categories, all branched out?
Yeah, so it's a very interesting question, and I don't think anybody is going to have answer for that.
Yeah.
If we had answer for that, then that would be $1 million opportunity, I guess. Maybe $1 trillion here, because obviously this is big. It's not going to be just million. But I guess I will answer this way, right? So it could go either ways. Either they could define a market category, which in my mind seems a little tricky with this product. I mean, we have seen other products, and we were like, even if they have like two logos, and we are the first one to champion that okay, no, this is real. People should be paying attention to that because we can see the potential based on what they are doing. In this particular case, it's a very technical problem, to be completely honest. So not sure how this is gonna go. There is a possibility, obviously, when investors are investing, they are seeing something in that. Maybe they are going to pull something off. I don't know. Maybe they are going to replace email. Maybe they are going to replace Slack. Who knows? Sometimes it's very hard to predict what users are going to like and whether they will be moving away from these platforms or not. Once you sort of get into their minds, it's very hard to take that off. And that's why, I mean, change management is very hard in general, right?
Yes.
Our bread and butter.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions, Srishta?
No.
Okay, amazing. So that's it for today. If you joined for the first time, this was part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys are going to be here next week. We're going to come back with another vendor or the solution. On that note, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.